Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So today it's just me sitting down. It's actually the weekend, so Amy isn't here today, but I thought I would film an eczema video for you guys. So many of you know that I personally dealt with some pretty bad eczema about 3 years ago now, and I did do a dedicated video and blog post to my whole story. So basically talking about when my eczema developed, how bad it was, and I will leave pictures in this video, probably next to my head somewhere, of how my skin was before. I did leave it in the previous video as well, but I feel like I really skipped over it probably a little too quickly because I really don't like those photos, but I think it's important for you guys to see them. Just to see how it was and how my skin is now, which is completely free from eczema. But as I was saying, I filmed that video and I made that blog post telling you guys my entire story and how I healed my skin naturally. But since posting all of that, I feel that Amy and I, our top question that we get from people joining our one-on-one health coaching on our website and on our YouTube, in our private Facebook group, all of that stuff, the number one question we get is from people dealing with eczema on how they can start healing themselves. So I thought it was about time that I sat down and did a dedicated eczema video. So I'm going to be sharing my top 5 tips for healing eczema. And if you are dealing with eczema at the moment, I really hope they help you and inspire you to keep working on your health. So tip number 1 for healing eczema has got to be stop eating refined sugar. So if you are still eating anything sugary, so cupcakes, lollies, candies, biscuits, all of those kind of things, it needs to stop. So I'm not particularly talking about fruit sugars here, I'm talking mostly about those refined carbohydrates. I believe you can still eat fruit in moderation when you're trying to heal the skin. And the reason why I say cut out sugar is because the real underlying issue that we have when we're dealing with eczema is gut imbalance and gut inflammation and an imbalance in the immune system. So the reason that these two kind of run together, so the gut and the immune system, is because over 70% of our immune system is actually housed in and around our gut. And there is so much research now to suggest that the gut-skin connection is real. We made a separate video again about that, which I can link in the description. But basically when our gut is inflamed, it's imbalanced, or we have a thing called leaky gut syndrome, it can really show up in our skin through that local inflammation like eczema or hives. So it's so important to stop feeding into that cycle. So refined sugar is really going to feed the bad gut bugs. It's going to contribute to dysbiosis, leaky gut, and an inflamed gut. So really before we do anything else, it is so important to eliminate that refined sugar. So tip number 2 for healing eczema naturally is to basically find some skincare that works for you and then stop searching for the miracle cream. Because I really feel, as someone who personally dealt with eczema, that so much time and mental energy and emotional energy can be spent on really looking for that topical solution. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't exist, because what we apply topically to our skin is not going to solve the root cause. But at the same time, eczema, I understand it's so uncomfortable, it's itchy, it's not very pleasant to go out and socialize when you have eczema, especially if it's on your face. So it is important to care for the skin and to make ourselves as comfortable as possible. And I actually believe that even a little bit of cortisone here and there is not going to hurt in the big picture of things, particularly if it helps with your confidence. Say if you have a rash on your face and you need to go to a party or something, I would not be recommending for you to white knuckle it and really feel bad about yourself and feel stressed. But when it comes to skincare, really at the heart of it, you want to find something emollient, something nice and rich that's going to alleviate that feeling of the skin being really dry and irritated and itchy. And it's also going to help to reinforce that skin barrier and to help your skin function as it should, because when we have eczema, our skin is actually failing to provide a proper barrier function. So basically that means that environmental toxins and things can enter our bloodstream a lot more easily. I would recommend something like an organic shea butter, jojoba oil. You can even layer those products together and really just leave it at that and stop wasting your time and money looking for that miracle cream. So tip number 3, I'm going to circle back to food. So the number one thing that I would suggest doing if you're suffering with eczema is try removing those really common food triggers. So what I'm talking about here is wheat and dairy, and another really common allergenic food is also eggs. So if you're not already dairy-free and gluten-free, I would definitely recommend doing that, and you could also try taking out eggs. And the very best way to know if you're having a food sensitivity with any one of these foods is to remove them for at least a couple of weeks, keep a food journal and introduce those foods, challenge them one at a time and see if your skin responds or if you have any other symptoms. So tip number 4 for healing eczema is to investigate a thing called histamine intolerance or also salicylate intolerance. Now, these are slightly different to the sensitivities that I spoke about earlier. So sensitivities actually involve the immune system. So what happens is if we have a thing like leaky gut, we have undigested food particles entering our bloodstream through those little gaps between the cells lining our digestive tract. And that's when our immune system becomes very on alert, very angry against all of these different food particles, and our immune system develops antibodies against these particular foods, and that's when we have developed sensitivities. But when I'm talking about intolerances, things like histamine intolerance, salicylate intolerance, this is more of a case that our body is failing to clear these compounds as they build up from food sources. So histamine and salicylate, they are two compounds that are completely natural and that are found in abundance in certain foods. And mostly these are fruits and vegetables. With histamine, it's actually our fermented foods and animal products if they're not really fresh. So these two intolerances, they're actually so common with people who are suffering with eczema, and it all comes back to levels. So it can be quite confusing when you have a thing like histamine intolerance, because you could actually eat a histamine rich food like an avocado on Monday with dinner and be completely fine, and then eat avocado with breakfast the following day, and that's when you react, because it all comes down to levels, and once your bucket has overflowed, so to speak, that's when you come out with a flare-up in your eczema. So really the best way with histamine and salicylates is to take them out of the diet. You can't really take them out completely, but you can choose to eat low histamine or low salicylate foods for a couple of weeks, and you should definitely see an improvement in symptoms if that is your primary intolerance that you're dealing with. So again, it's really important to keep a food journal and start to identify some of these sensitivities and intolerances. Okay, so my final tip for healing eczema naturally is kind of the most obvious and the one that I feel I bang on about the very most, but it is so important. It's the most important tip, and that is to keep focusing on your gut health. So I see this time and again, the most common thing for people to do, even for me to do in the beginning when I was healing my skin, is to get so distracted and going down different rabbit holes trying to heal my skin and not really consistently working on my gut health. But I would urge you to really, just as much as possible, ignore the symptoms, ignore the quest to find the perfect skin cream, all of this kind of thing, and just get really clear on what the heart of this issue is. And I cannot say it enough, it is coming back to the immune system, it is coming back to the gut. And the more that we consistently work on eating gut healing foods, rebalancing that microflora, and really healing and sealing the gut, the quicker we're going to see an improvement in our symptoms. And it's not about looking for instant gratification, it does take time, and especially when we have eczema and different sensitivities, it can be an up and down process. But as long as we stay focused on our goal, focused on what the root cause is, and not going off on different paths and getting confused, just the quicker it's all going to happen. And it is going to happen. So that would just be my absolute biggest tip. And I also want to say, if you are on this gut healing path and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with it all, or you're not quite sure what to do next, we would love for you to join us inside of our gut health course. So that is Get Glowing Online, and we are open at the moment for enrollment for a further week. So we extended our enrollment period, and we do have a sort of pre-holiday offer on at the moment for you guys. So I will have all the details for that in the description below if you want to check it out. But basically, Get Glowing Online is going to give you the opportunity to do all of this gut healing work as part of a community and not go it alone. So inside that course, Amy and I have developed a heap of videos telling you exactly what to eat, exactly what to exclude. We have a 30-day detailed plan in there as well. And we also do live Q&As. We have a private community where we chat with all the women who are working on their gut health. And yeah, we also show you how to make fermented foods at home and heaps of other stuff. So I really wish that I had had access to something like this when I was healing my skin, because I did find the whole process to be quite lonely, and I was often madly researching and Googling and trying to figure out my way, and I think it was very stressful. So if you're interested in joining that course, again, all the details are below, and we would love to see you there. And that basically wraps up this video. I hope that you really found these 5 tips helpful and inspiring to keep working on your health. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, we're happy to read them and get back to you in the comments below. And if you want to see more content from us in the future, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!